Hey there guys, it's Amit and welcome back to DevDreamer. So in this lesson then, we're going to be going over pretty much everything you need to know about CSS fonts. Now, the right font can actually make all the difference to your web page. For example, let's take a look at this page here, the facebook.com login page. Imagine what this would look like if we actually change the font. Well, we can actually do that. Let's just right click and open up the Google Chrome Developer Tools. And on the body here, I'm just going to change the font family. Let's get rid of this. Let's change this to something really boring like Times New Roman. And guys, take a look at this. I mean, this just doesn't look right, does it? It just doesn't fit in with the whole feel of Facebook. And check out these links as well down here. Does not look good at all. And even this text here and this text here as well. So, as you can see, the right font really does make all the difference to your web page. So let's take a look at how we can actually use fonts in CSS. Much better. Okay. So first of all, then let's just put a H1 on the screen here. And let's just say Dev Dreamer. Okay. Heading over to our CSS file and let's select the H1, curly braces. And I'm just going to do text align center and margin top of 100 pixels. Move it down a bit. Okay, so there are quite a few properties, font properties that we can use. As you can see here in brackets, when you type in font, it actually gives you a list of them here. But depending on which browser you're using, you actually won't be able to use all of these. So for example, I'm using Google Chrome here, and at the time of recording this video, you can't actually use font variant. Now there's a really good website that you can use to check which properties you can actually use. And that is called caniuse.com. Okay, I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. So for example, here we can just say, so it says can I use, and let's do font hyphen variant. Okay, and as you can see for Chrome, it's actually currently, at the time of recording this, is not supported. It is supported in Firefox and Safari as well. So yeah, you won't be able to use all of these in your browser currently. Okay, so we're just going to be going over some of the main ones and really the ones that you're going to be using the most. Okay, so of course the first one is going to be font family. This basically changes the actual font of your text here. So your cursive, fantasy, all these different ones here. So let's look at monospace. Okay, that's what that looks like. There's also Arial. Okay, Times New Roman, which we took a look at. Times New Roman. Okay, now there's a difference between this font here, Times New Roman, and Arial. So let's just put Arial here. Okay, so just zoom in a bit. With Arial, this font here looks quite clean, but the Times New Roman font looks a bit more professional. Now, the difference between the two are these serifs. So a serif is basically the name given to these lines that you see on the end of the letters. So for example, the best example here would be this letter M here. So underneath each line of this M here, you can see that we've got these small lines here going across. Okay, whereas with Arial, so let's take a look at the M on Arial. You can see we don't have those. Okay, now this is actually, in my opinion, it's all subjective, I guess. This is actually a lot more cleaner and easier to read, and it has a much more modern feel to it. So here we can type in sans serif. Sans simply means without, so this is without serifs. And then you've also got serif, which is that there. Okay. Now you can actually specify multiple fonts. So we could say Arial, we can say monospace, we could say fantasy, and we can say sans serif at the end. Okay. And what this will do is, if for whatever reason the browser can't load this font, then it will try and load this one. If it can't load this, it will try and load this, and so on. So for example, we can actually test this by just putting an X at the end of these. Okay, so it doesn't know what this is, so now it's going to load monospace. That's monospace there. It doesn't know what this is, so it loads fantasy. It doesn't know what this is, and so it loads sans serif. This is a good idea, just as a backup really, just in case the browser can't load, for whatever reason, your font. Okay, let's take a look at another font property. Let's go for font size. We've seen this one plenty of times before. Let's do font size 50 pixels. Okay, nice and self-explanatory, that one. And then font weight. Now this one's interesting. Font weight actually determines how thick the lettering is. So for example, let's just zoom in here. If we change this to 100, you see now the lettering is a lot thinner. If we change it to 700, Now you can see it's a lot thicker. You also have specific values such as bold and even bolder. Okay. So those are the basics of fonts in CSS. But now let's take a look at how you can implement other fonts into your project. I mean, these are pretty boring, right? Let's take a look at some ways in which you can actually implement other fonts. Now, one of the most popular ways to do this is by Google Fonts. So just search for Google Fonts and you should find the website. And this is really cool because you can actually see what the fonts look like, and you can do stuff like, let's change this to DevDreamer and apply to all fonts and show you what your text looks like across all these different fonts. Now you can actually search and filter this font list. So over here, click on this magnifying glass. You got serif and sans serif. So let's just take a look. Let's take a look at all the serifs. Let's get rid of all these. Click on this. Okay, that one I guess looks kind of cool. You can also look at stuff like handwriting. Okay, and then down here you can actually see different slants as well. So that's obviously very slanted, and you can actually make it less slanted by setting the desired slant here. Now, what we want to do is we want to actually pull one of these fonts into our project, okay, and actually use it for this text here. So I'm actually going to choose serif fonts. Okay, let's look through this. I'm looking for something really distinctive. I mean, these look pretty much the same. Let's get rid of this slant here. Okay, that's a lot more now. Looking for something really distinctive. Okay, how about this one here, Ultra? Okay. Actually, I don't want to use this because it's only got one font weight. So let's see if we can find one that has multiple font weights. This one? Okay, yeah, this one will do. I hate the font, but it's just something that's quite distinctive. All these look pretty much the same. So this is called BioRhyme Expanded. Now the way that we actually select this is we click this little plus button here. And what that does down here is it gives us this box. And this basically explains how we can import this font. So a few ways to do this. The first is by actually copying this link here, or rather this piece of code here. And if you've been following along with these lessons, you know that this is a link tag, and that goes in the head section of our site. So in here, just put this in, okay? Save that. And it says specify in CSS, you do font family, and then you can do BioRhyme Expanded in these single quotation marks here. So let's go here. Let's also go to our page so you can see this take effect. Let's get rid of all this. And we want single quotes, and it was called, what was it called? Sorry, it was called BioRhyme Expanded. Okay. BioRhyme Expanded. Okay, and there you go, it's taken shape. There's our font. Now this method was actually really simple. All we did was simply copy and paste a link into here, and then we can use the font. But this will only work if you have an active internet connection. If, for example, you don't have an internet connection and you wanted to play around with this font in your text editor, then this method wouldn't work, okay? What you need to do is you need to actually download the font into your folder, the folder where this project is held, and then you need to reference it in the CSS. So let's take a look at how to actually do that. So here, let's just delete this. Okay, the font's changed as well now. And from here, let's get rid of this as well. Go back to Google Fonts. And let's get rid of this one now. Let's see if we can find a different one. Okay. Okay, so I've done some searching around, and I found this font here called Righteous. I think it looks pretty cool. So the way that we'd actually download this is we'd click the plus button again, but this time in our box, what we would do is we click this download button here. Okay, this downloads the file as a zip file, and now what we want to do is we want to put this into our projects folder. Okay, so this is our projects folder here. We can drag this into here, extract this. Okay, there's the folder. We can get rid of this now. And inside here, there's our font right here, okay? And now, because we've got this font in our projects folder, we can reference it. So we can say, up here, we can say at font hyphen face, curly braces, and then we can say font family. And this, we can name this pretty much whatever we want. Okay, so I'm just going to say my font. Okay, we don't need to call it whatever that Google font was called. I think it was Righteous. Yeah, we don't need to call it that. We can just call it whatever you like. So I'm going to call it my font. And then you actually want to refer to this with the correct file path. So we're going to say source, URL, and then in curly braces, we're going to say, okay, this is the CSS folder. So all we want to do is we want to go into this folder here. So it's called Righteous. So we're just going to say Righteous slash, and it's righteous-regular.ttf. I'm just going to copy this. So rename, copy, and here let's paste that in, and it was .ttf. And now that we've got this in place, we can now reference my font as the font family, and that should apply our font. So in here I've got font family. Let's get rid of this, and I'm just going to say my font. Perfect. Here we have our downloaded font. Now there are of course other sites you can actually download fonts from. Some are free, some are paid for. But Google Fonts is really good because, as you can see, it's quick and easy, and you have a huge variety as well. And as we saw earlier with the Facebook example, the right font really does make all the difference. Okay guys, so go ahead and practice this. Please like and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.